All right, boys, welcome back to a new episode of Da Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm here to recap Week 7. Week 7 is behind us. We're on to Week 8. First off, new sign. Sick. I had to pay a lot of fucking money for that through buying a bunch of these. So, not sponsored yet. But we're going to pretend as if I'm sponsored by Zen for today. It will be joining us every single week here on the Fantasy Boys podcast. Podcast that only talks about our league. Vibe check. I'm going to jump right into it. Vibe check right now. This league is tough. This league is very, very tough. I'm just going to reiterate the fact that there's things like Zach has the highest scored points for, and he's in 7th place. His team has been multiple back-to-back top week scorer, and he's finding himself currently out of playoffs. Will it probably end up that way? No. His team is rolling in the right direction still, but one thing I will say is he is a boom or bust team, but that's more on the gossip type of thing. So the season is halfway over. Week 7, there's only 14 weeks. So for the guys that need to pull some shit out of their hat and get it going, me, Peeler, he did. It's time to fucking go. It's time to go. There's not much more time left halfway through the season, and I'm scrambling right now. The deck is being shuffled for the rankings. Every single person moved up or down in the rankings except for Tyler. He stayed at 10. Everyone else moved 2 spots up, 2 spots down, 3 spots up, 3 spots down. It was a huge jumble in the rankings. Still a little early. You know, once we get about probably 3-4 more weeks, we're really, really like looking at the rankings, looking at points for. So score your points now. But right now, it's still a little early to be hyper-focused on the rankings. Real quick, I forgot to in my opening. I'm wearing Legacy gear today. Legacy is on a bye week this week because they made playoffs and they have a bye week in the first round. 3 games for a state championship. So shout out Legacy, shout out Zach, obviously Dom, Mister, all doing a great job coaching. Last year they missed the playoffs. I don't think they won a single game in the division. So hats off to the boys over there in the Navy and burnt orange. First time making playoffs since I was playing football. Do the math there. So back to the rankings. We do have a new leader in the clubhouse, Austin, long-time winner in this league. He's never won a championship, but his points or his all-time record in this league, I did go back and do the math. He is the all-time leader in the clubhouse with most wins. So I actually have him on this episode here coming on later in the podcast on a new segment. And then there's a new loser in the shithouse. That is me. I have been the biggest loser this year, even though Peeler had the worst record. But he pulled off a win this week, so he automatically jumps me, and I go back to 12th place. I'm currently facing Toilet Bowl, which I'm all too familiar with, and you'll hear more about my bitching and moaning once we get to the BP's complaining corner segment. Justin and Braden, they both jumped 3 spots, and now they're in playoff contention, which is pretty wild. Not so much with Braden. I think Braden's team's pretty decent. His trade, the last trade he just made, is a little questionable, sending Johnny Taylor out of town. But I've talked shit about Jonathan Taylor, so I can't back down now. So Justin's team, he scratched together a couple scrappy ass wins, and he's managing his dick off, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. Gossip segment, some sort of segment thing maybe. Dude, editing videos and stuff, I'm doing the most elementary way of doing it. Like I'm literally just piecing it together on iMovie and then uploading it to YouTube. I tried to make like a fucking TikTok today. It took me like 20 minutes to figure that thing out. This content game is hard, and those people that are behind the scenes cutting the videos and putting imagine if I said a gossip segment and then like it stopped, went to a little thing, had a little bit of music, and then boom, here I am. That's hard to do, and I don't think we'll ever have that here on this podcast, but hey, I'm having a really good time doing this. The feedback's been great. I appreciate everyone that's saying nice things. I just do this to hang out with my friends because I'm not there anymore to talk shit directly to everyone's face. Hold on. So anyways, gossip segment. Right now we are on Fraud Watch. I've been calling this fraud for a little bit, and I'm not trying to be mean, I swear to God, but a little bit. Donald's team losing 2 straight, back-to-back poor performances. Put up 73 this week, 110 last week, not bad, but 95 the week before. I've never truly been in love with this team. Now he made a trade, and he's got Calvin Ridley, who's been somewhat underperforming originally. I'll give you my trade talks here in a little bit, but originally I've been talking I love Calvin Ridley. So do I love the move for Calvin? Sure. But he's also not performing. And DK, he's at least been somewhat consistent. He hasn't thrown up dud weeks like Calvin has. So if you're looking to really get out of a rut here, I don't know if this really solves your issue. And then we just had I did like your running back upgrade, but we'll get there. Peeler is wheeling and dealing his team, and it fucking worked. He's shipping guys in, shipping guys out. Overall, Peeler has done this before. He got into the championship last year at a 500 record. He makes major trades. He usually does pretty well in the trades. So hats off to Peeler. I've talked shit about Peeler and on his team, but really it's out of insecurity. I am not as good at making trades work in my favor the way he has been. And everything, like if I'm grading, so I was going to do a little segment where I thought of this on the way home. I already typed up all my notes and was ready to go. And I was thinking it'd be cool if I could look at all the trades and then just like see what that is equivalated and give like overall draft grades weeks after. Like all my draft grades would be fucking terrible. BP's complaining corner. Save that. All my trades have been terrible. His trades have actually been working out. Even when he wasn't winning, they were performing. His team was performing a little bit better, and the guys he shipped out of there fucking stunk. So we'll see moving forward. I don't mean to jinx you, but I do. I think if you look at his team this week, it topped out at production. He had everyone doing well, but they are still all trending up guys, and I'd rather have those guys than the ones that are just like, that they just pulled that out of their ass, and that'll probably never happen again. Dakota's team is rolling. Dakota's team is rolling, boys. It has put up over 100, 120, 130 every single week, and I'm just putting everyone on notice. The guy's fucking a machine right now. It's not the hugest big names on his guys. He did bring in Mike Evans. Talk about that on the trade segment, but his team is very consistent. ETN, Ballin. I'll pull up his team later. Jared's team is now consisting of solely Lions and Seahawks, and it somehow works. and it somehow works. If those are two offenses you want to have a piece of, I can't really hate on it, and I'm not. I've made an enemy of Jared. He has gone through a little bit of adversity, and he's, I think, dropped 2 straight. So we'll see how he manages his way out of this. He shipped Calvin Ridley out of town, but he brings in DK. Now he has DK, fucking the running back, whatever. And he has like 3 Lions in his roster, then Patrick Mahomes. Solid. Justin is piecing together ugly wins. Alluded to this before. Now he has a promising foreman to stress over. And I say stress over because his start decisions every week stress me the fuck out. Only because me and him talk a little bit about like situations where he doesn't give any good advice. So don't worry. It's not, he's not fucking helping me. But, I see what decisions he's going over every single week. And it's hard. I guarantee that dude's losing sleep over making start sits on his team. 4, I looked this up, little nerd nugget. This is pretty interesting. 4 out of the 7 weeks that we've played, Justin has scored the highest bench points. Surprising he hasn't been the thing is, and it makes hard to really talk shit and say, he's a Zach start of the week. This guy's a Zach start of the week. Because they're all just scoring 10 to 15 points. Every single player on his roster. And yeah, sometimes the guys will score 4, 5, 6 points, whatever, and you could say, that 15 points would have been a better start sit over that. But like the guys going into the week, I guarantee if there's fantasy rankings, they're all in the 20s. He has 5 guys all in the 20 of 10, top 10, not top 10, but 10 to 20 range in the rankings. So 4 out of 7 weeks, highest bench points. I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought it was going to be more, but there was like a couple weeks, like Mister had a 110-point bench week because he didn't have A-Chain when he dropped 55 points. Then Austin had like a huge week, and Donald had a huge week. So bench points we're talking here on the Doughboys Fantasy Podcast. I don't think any other podcast, I don't think any other fantasy football knowledge stuff is talking bench points. That's what I give you here. That's the difference here. BP's complaining corner is where, I just bitch and moan a little bit. If I make this... Hold on a second. If I make the correct starts, Sutton and Kincaid, not so much Kincaid, but Sutton, I get it done. And I pull out a win this week. Tyler put up a dud week. I had all the right things happen on his end of the fantasy spectrum, and it did not work out. Basically, I got decent production out of every single player on my team except for Christian Watson. Mind you, I had a perfect week, and I only scored 84.76 points. Okay? That's the kind of shit I'm dealing with over here, over in on my team. Jared Goff, he put up a bad week. No one honestly seen that coming. I thought it was a smash play. Honestly, yeah, you could say the Baltimore Ravens had the number 4 defense against quarterbacks. Sure. But he's been fucking balling. He's been the top. He's the top number 4 quarterback going into last week, and it didn't happen. I mean, I bet the Lions on every single thing, so I was very high on the Lions this week. And it just didn't happen. Now I'm in last place. I'm in a battle every single week from here on out with Peeler. The goal is 100% focused. It has been for a minute, focused on beating Peeler. I'm not making playoffs. I'm not trying to make a playoff run here. I'm simply trying to stay out of last place, be relevant, and make some decisions that earn me a little bit of respect because I do have the podcast and talk about it a little bit like that. But Peeler's team all of a sudden doesn't look shitty. It always helps when you've got a winning roster or a winning week of scores to look at. But, if you look at it, it doesn't look that bad. And I've been thinking that about my roster for a while, but it might be time to just face it. And, I don't have a good fucking team. I traded Cooper Kupp for Deebo Samuel, who is a fucking pussy. The only thing I could say is that Deebo Samuel looks missing from that offense. Their offense has not been rolling. The first 3 weeks when fucking Brock Purdy looked like the best quarterback in the league was when Deebo was getting a lot of production. They obviously can't win when it's just Ayuk back there. That's the only piece missing and Trent Williams. But that's the only piece missing in the 49ers team, and they look like they suck. So they're going to want him back, and I hope that I can, be okay and get fucking Christian Watson, irrelevant ass, out of my goddamn lineup. Kincaid is a starter moving forward because Dawson Knox is hurt. Saquon Barkley might be better. James Cook starting to get production. Jared Goff still on a very high scoring offense. I should be okay, man. I should be okay. I should be okay to get a couple fucking wins. I'm running into Adam this week. We'll see. I mean, I hate my team, but this is the team I'm fucking rolling with. One other thing, last thing I'll say is I play a dynasty league and I have all the same guys. No one cares about my other league, is what Marky said. That's great. Because that is exactly what everybody in their living rooms just said just now. I only bring it up to say that I'm not winning in that league, nor did I win last year, and it's dynasty, and I brought back a lot of the same guys. Yet here I am, and I literally formulated a plan to get my same exact roster that I have in dynasty that's not winning. That's how bad and pathetic I am, is that I went out of my way to get James Cook because I love James Cook. He's on my team. I made sure I drafted Saquon Barkley. He's on my team in there. Jared Goff, my dynasty quarterback. I'm terrible in this league. What are you doing? What are you doing? I just thought of that on the fly, so don't judge me for my dynasty talk. Trade talk, boys. We've had a very, very busy week of trades. A lot of these explanations are pretty lengthy. Here's what I'll say. I appreciate the comments that I get. Try to keep in mind that I do a podcast where I have to read and talk about it all. If you guys want me to paraphrase, I can do that. Or you can just send me a little bit shorter snippets. I'm going to read. This is a podcast for the people. So if you guys want to hear the long explanations from every single owner, I'll continue to do it. But I do worry about how it sounds. And, I'm just reading. And some of these guys, Justin, really wrote a real big long one. But I don't want to say that and now everyone's going to be not wanting to give comments. This is what I want. I want people talking about it. I want to hear why they decided to make this trade, what they think, and I think it's interesting. So, first trade we have to talk about. It was the first one. I think it was pretty late in the week, Wednesday, Thursday, after the podcast. So, Tyler traded away Tyler Algier and Brock Purdy for Jaylen Warren. Tyler, it was great depth piece for me with a lot of upside. Keeps me from having to play guys like Patrick Taylor. LOL. Justin said, I've clearly been in quarterback hell for the last 2 weeks, so I've had to make a trade for a quarterback to buy me some time without trading one of my key members on my roster. It sucks because I had Brock Purdy on my team a couple weeks ago, but at the time I had a healthy Justin Fields and Ant, so I dropped him. Purdy definitely needs CMC back on the field. However, I wouldn't mind Deebo sitting out one more week because Ayuk could potentially be a smash play. He has Ayuk. Also, having a Niners stack could be kind of sexy. Algier, Niners stack. Oh, him and Ayuk. That didn't really work out for you this week, bud. Algier sucks, but at least I am protecting one of my most valuable assets by keeping him on my roster. It sucks giving up Jalen Warren, but the coaching staff loves Najee Harris for some reason, and he may never, ever be able to shine. My thoughts on that, I think Tyler, obviously I played Tyler this week, and both of those guys wouldn't have been in his roster, and Zach the running back for the Zach Evans was going to be in his roster, so this kind of fucked me right away because Jalen Warren went in and he scored a touchdown. The only relevant piece, he scored 10 points. So, all in all, I think it's a good trade for both sides, solely just because Justin gets his quarterback, and Tyler does get a pretty decent piece there. Next trade, right away, Tyler made a trade and traded away Mike Evans and Jake Ferguson for George Kittle, Terry McLaurin, and Singletary. This one hit me right in the fucking nuts because, again, I was looking at a roster that I don't know if I could have beat, but Kittle, McLaurin, they both all went directly into his lineup. So I think making these trades got him the win over my sorry ass. So Tyler had a couple comments to say about this. He said, all right, I look at Terry and Evans as pretty much a wash. Fair. Evans did outscore him this week. Yeah, Evans is targeted more, a little bit more. But ultimately, he is older and already pulled a hammy this year, and the Bucs are moving on from him, so they might get some younger guys work later in the year. I haven't got anything out of tight end all year, so I might as well add Kittle for at least when he booms. He can actually win me weeks instead of booming and getting 10 points like Jake Ferguson. It's very good. Very, very good. And I've always had a soft spot for Singletary since I got him as an undrafted guy, so I'm always looking to bring back a good depth locker room guys. I don't know about that one, but he did get he could be in line for a little bit of a touches role here in Houston. Dakota, he said, looking to acquire some upside pieces that have both had their bye weeks as we move later into the season. Smart, Dakota. That is thinking like a former champion right there. I wouldn't know. I'm not pointing at myself. I'm just pointing at a brain that I don't know how to work. I knew that I had Kittle and McLaurin, and they weren't getting much playing time. Singletary got thrown in immediately after acquiring to appease the commish for not spending fab. Don't really understand that. Yes, Mike will be boom or bust, as well as the ceiling will be higher, in my opinion. To win this year against some of the top teams, you have to always look to make your roster better. Tyler is also loading up on depth for a stretch run. This move is strictly business, and I believe it works for both parties. Nothing against any of the guys I let go today in the trade. I wish them the best. And the best to Team Mid. I'm biased because the trade worked against my favor. But I think no one got hosed in that move. Both teams upgraded in their own way. So B+ of a trade, I guess. Peeler traded A.J. Dillon, Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins. I talked a little bit about it earlier in the podcast where I said Peeler's making some good moves. He traded those three guys to Braden for Jonathan Taylor, D-Hop, and Josh Palmer. Needed a running back. This is from Peeler. Needed a running back and wasn't getting production out of Wilson or Collins like I wanted. I think JT is going to start rolling, and I don't think I lose much, if any, with the swaps at receiver. I am fully committed to a two-man race versus my ass for last place. Buckle up, brother. I'm fucking strapped in, man. I'm strapped in on a fucking bumpy road, and I got no helmet, and I'm hitting the fucking side, and it's I'm fucking buckled, man. It's just I'm almost started crying. Dude. I am buckled up. Fuck you. All right. Braden said, like taking candy from a baby. So when this trade happened, oh man, do I put him on blast? There was a few guys that were like, Peeler's a fucking idiot. All right. I said it initially. I said, you're a fucking idiot. Because I do think Nico Collins and I think Garrett Wilson are good players. Obviously, looking at it now with hindsight goggles, Jonathan Taylor does look like he is going to start rolling with that Colts offense. So, I think Peeler won the trade. But, if you think about it from Braden's standpoint, he did have already two good running backs, and then he still has James Conner coming back. So, and he's been wanting to ship Johnny Taylor out of town for a while. I think he got I think he got a decent trade for it. So we'll see how that one shakes out. Moving on, last trade of the week we had happened last night, right after the Monday night game. Donald traded Alexander Mattison and DK Metcalf to Jared for Calvin Ridley and Javonte Williams. I lean towards the Calvin Ridley, Javonte Williams side. Especially that Madison is probably out of a job. It looked like it a little bit. I'm a little biased. I like Cam Akers, but it did seem like they are trying to finally phase him out and make Cam Akers, and it could be a split thing. Who knows what they actually do there in Minnesota. And I think Calvin Ridley is slightly better than DK Metcalf. But let's see what the guys say. Donald, I think Ridley has a slightly better fantasy year than DK. More upside. Madison sharing time with Akers, not really worth me holding on to. Adding Javonte, if he's healthy all year, a little bit more dangerous than Alexander Madison. Fair. Slight upgrade in the RB spot. Jared, fuck Calvin Ridley, is what he says. So we'll see how that works out for him. Moving on, boys, we have a new segment. This is called Feelin Myself. I've said it a lot. I've been using the terms. Guys that are winning are feeling themselves. I brought in a guest speaker. This is Austin. Okay, Austin is the top scorer this week. Let's throw him his flowers. 162.28 points. Bench scored 80. Gibbs finally is happening. Like, the guy's fucking rolling. The Lamar and Mark Andrews stack. I call him Mark Jackson. That's the stack name. I don't know if I created that. I don't think I did. His kicker even scored 21 points. And I said it just now, but Gibbs fucking looked like the guy we all wanted him to be, and I'm sure Austin wanted him to be. He's at least got one more week of that, I would think. And then they have the bye week, and then Montgomery comes back, and by then maybe he's earned some more carries and earned some more of the stuff. I do still think they want to make Montgomery their number one guy, but let me introduce Austin Christiansen, Team Immaculate. He's feeling himself for sure. Let's switch over. All right, welcome on now to the new segment. First segment we've done with these. It is Feeling Myself. Now, I've been saying this a lot, mostly in our main group message, where the person that's on top, they're not even really talking shit. They're just saying things that come off like, oh yeah, this guy is fucking feeling himself. And Austin, you've entered that category of you are fully feeling yourself.
Yeah.
What do you think about just that in general?
Well, first off, long-time listener, huge fan of the show. Honor to be on. Yeah, it's just one of those weeks where everything went right. I mean, you look at it, my bench would have won. So, I don't know. You don't get these weeks too often, so you just got to take advantage. Talk a little shit.
Your bench scored 80 points. Yeah. It did well. Let's just real quick, let's look down the roster. I mean, because to me, And among others, there has been a lot of fraudulent talk going on. A lot
Yep.
of this guy
I'll say it
is
myself.
winning. Yeah. I mean, you were talking shit on your team last week when they lost, right?
Yep.
Fraudulent is, I mean, I would kill to be fraudulent because that means you're winning games that you're not supposed to. And you are. So you did this without Derrick Henry, which might not be very good anymore, but you did all of this without Derrick Henry. That's crazy. I'm going to go real quick. I'm going to look at your roster. Oh, shit. Your boy didn't even have it up. We were fighting some technical difficulties with the fucking thing once again.
Keep the headphones.
Sick headphones, dude. All right. Well, it wasn't hard to find your team because it was right at the top. You are the number one team. Wow. Must be nice. 6-1. Real quick.
6-1.
Sorry. Lamar and Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson.
That's Mark Jackson. I'm Mark Jackson 2-0.
Fucking Mark Andrews. What a stack to have. And it's finally starting to pay off.
Yep.
You doubled Donald's points this week. Is that correct?
Just about.
Yeah, 73 to 162. You did double his points.
I almost beat him by 100 is what I was.
Oh, that would have been even cooler. Moving forward, I mean, just go ahead and just take the floor here and talk some shit. Why is your team going to win it all and not completely crumble in the playoffs this year?
I mean, anytime Mark Jackson, he got me. Anytime that duo gets 2 touchdowns, I think the last time they did that, I had high score as well. So it's, if they can do that, I'm in good shape. But I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, welcome to the NFL.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison was on my bench. Here we go. I mean, we talked about the draft.
I'll say one thing.
Go ahead.
I think your team is what we've always said about Austin's team is that it's extremely consistent. It's got every single week he runs the football and scores 115 points. Like he just wakes up with 115. And then you have every now and then you have the weeks like this, which has been missing from this year. Mm-hmm. Chris Olave, Christian Kirk, even on their worst days, they're still scoring 10 points. Right. And then you've got the Mark Jackson, and that's what you call them, right? Mark Jackson, Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's we're gonna roll with that. And then, God, man, a team always looks so good on weeks they score like that. Like you just feel like you've got to feel like you're gonna win the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends.
Go ahead, make a guarantee.
No. We know how that works. This week I'm going to score 60 points. It's a given. So congrats, Dakota. Good win. But it's, I mean, 115, and then you score 4 touchdowns. You got 160. A mass off there, but I just got some touchdowns this weekend, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got Jahmyr Gibbs this week. You've got him next week. Then there's a bye. Montgomery should be back after that.
Exactly.
But even then, he's still somewhat playable with
still 10 points, but
still 10 points.
115.
All right. Who do you got this week?
Dakota.
Dakota's been rolling. This is a good matchup. This is a good week.
Yeah,
Dakota's been rolling. And I'm going to talk about it here in a little bit when I start the pod, but that is going to be one to watch. We'll see if Dakota can get over 115. If he can, he's got a good chance of winning against you.
Good win, yeah. Just need Derrick Henry's rested. Come on back to.
So who are you going to start Derrick Henry over?
I had who'd I have? Gibson or Gainwell in there.
Oh yeah. You make that move. You make that move all day.
You don't root for injuries, but if something was to happen to those starters on those teams,
you've got 2 guys that could be guys. Yeah, and then finally, and the last thing we'll talk about is your production from those rookie guys who you kind of were. I think we're getting ready to fucking part ways with. Maybe not Addison, but even the other guy. Who's the other guy? The other rookie on the bottom of your roster?
JSN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to be moving pretty quickly. I mean,
He was almost a drop. He was almost a drop at one point.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I liked your team so early in the year is you had those rookie guys that all they need to do is hit on one of them. With Justin Jefferson missing, Addison's a fucking dog.
Yeah.
Must start.
Right.
Well,
not this week.
Yeah, I know. Because the last week he kind of put up a dud when you expected him to be good.
Right.
All right. Anything else you want to say? Send a message to the league?
No, I mean, I'm up on top. Come get it.
6-1. Okay, it ain't going to be Donald, so don't worry about that one.
No.
All right, man.
All right.
Welcome to the first episode of Feelin Myself. Austin is feeling himself, and we'll snap back over to the pod. Bye.
Catch you later. Bye.
All right, and welcome back. Thank you, Austin, for coming on. Battled a little bit of technical issues in there. We'll get better as weeks roll on. Moving on, we got two more segments. Zach start of the week / drops. There wasn't too many Zach starts this week, so there was a couple drops that I want to get into. He's back, boys. The reason for the namesake of the segment, Zach started Keontae Ingram over Zeke Elliott. Did this matter? Absolutely not. But I was very excited to see he did something stupid, so I really have been missing his name from the segment. He's been fucking rolling lately, and he did drop 2 weeks in a row. And I just wanted to point out that Zeke Elliott scored 10 more points than Keontae Ingram. Keontae Ingram had 0 points. Whose fault? It might not have been too much of his fault. So, me starting Watson over Cortland Sutton. They were both playing each other. The Broncos were playing the Packers, and they both had a fabulous matchup. It just came down to me deciding who to play. Cortland Sutton has scored in like 2-3 straight weeks, and I decided to play Christian Watson, who hasn't done absolutely dick over him. I trusted sources. I've talked about this before. I need new sources. If you got sources, please send them my way because I don't know what I'm doing. And I plugged it into like 2 little start-sit-em apps, and they all said Christian Watson was so much better than Cortland Sutton. And I'll probably have to make that decision again this week, and I'll get it wrong. I'll definitely start Cortland Sutton just because I'm so mad at Christian Watson, but guarantee you, I know what's going to happen. Watson's going to ball. And lastly, we have Tank Dell. Mr. dropped him, and he was immediately picked up by Adam. I think it was like 2 days later, but that was a panic drop because Mr. really was in hell trying to figure out who he should start because he had some terrible miscues to try to figure out guys. He started Ray McLeod. But Tank Dell, he dropped him on his bye week and immediately got picked up. That's never a good sign. And Cam Akers was also dropped earlier in the week. Cam Akers looked like he might have the job there in Minnesota. Anytime you're dropping starting running backs, that's got to sting a little bit. Tyler picked him up right away and is probably going to trade him to me. Last segment, boys, we have the loser, low scorer of the week. Mr. Griggs, he scored an abysmal 72 points. He had Royce Freeman, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Ray McLeod all in his lineup. The highest scorer in his entire lineup was Geno Smith at 13.76 points. His bench scored 0. There was nothing he could do. And I'll let you, because he goes into pretty good depth in the video. So that's it for the episode. I'm going to switch it over to Mister, who he talks about his thing, does his little punishment thing. Ha, ha, ha. Great week. Not for me, but, great podcast, I suppose. Have a good week. Let's try to pull out a win. I did forget a segment now that I'm thinking about it where I talk about the next week matchups. Sorry. Look at them yourself, and I'll talk to you boys later. Have a good one. Bye.
Wandale Robinson, Ray McLeod. The fuck was I thinking? Well, here I am, gentlemen. Ray, just one more catch. God, it sucks cheering for somebody so you don't get lowest score. Well, I'm on the ropes, fellas. 4 of my starting players, no, 3, are on the IR. 3 of the best fantasy players in fantasy on IR. Here I am, looking up. And my plan was to go 2-2. I'm hoping for 1-3, to be honest, while this IR shit is happening. I'm 0-2 so far. I don't know who I play next week. I don't give a fuck who I play next week. I just need a win. It was actually a shitty fantasy week for a lot of us, besides Austin. Good for you, Austin. You figure this shit out every year. So yeah, I never thought I would be making one of these videos because I fucking... Fuck. I just never thought it would be me. You know what I mean? Like, you look at teams like Peelers and Brandon. It's fucked up that every time someone makes one of these videos, they bring those 2 up. You know what I mean? But Peeler actually got a win this week. I don't know if Brandon won. I'm pretty sure he didn't. I don't really focus on anyone else's shit besides my own. But I'm going to come back stronger. That's just what weak fucking people say. I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay? So let me be 1,000% transparent. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. So, and not only did Braden catch me on a fucked up week with all the IRs, the Bengals are on a fucking bye. And that's my stack that I acquired from Brandon. Acquiring Joe Burrow. Maybe I should do a better job looking at the fucking bye weeks, huh? But, that's my strategy, is to go and get 3 receivers and find 2 running backs on the waivers, and I did that, and you just hope and pray that you don't get any injuries because I don't have depth. I don't draft for depth. So this is a 3-minute long video so far, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. So my punishment is to shotgun these 2 beers. Okay? It might not sound like a punishment. This might sound like enjoyable to you folks, but it's a punishment. Well, half a beer. But anyway, because I wanted to slowly enjoy these. Now, I'm going to shotgun them. Oh. Maybe punishment was getting beer all over my socks. But I want to enjoy these, But now I can't because I'm punishing myself by drinking them rather quickly. But I will bounce back. Fuck. 31 now. It's been a while since I've done this. I've got kids and shit. But I'm going to bounce back. Hopefully next week against whoever I play. I'm at my parents' house. And now my dad's going to ask me why the fuck does my garage smell like beer. So I guess that's my punishment, having to deal with the repercussions of my father when he gets home. But anyway, I will bounce back next week. And don't you guys fucking sleep on me. I'm going to end this video by doing something my team should have did. And that show their ass. How about we wake up? Fuck you guys.